Oscar Piastri left his home in Australia 8 years ago to pursue his racing career. But last week, following his home race in Melbourne, he got to experience the Great Barrier Reef for the very first time. So how are you feeling?
This actually kind of feels familiar to a race suit a little bit, but...
They're a little bit tighter, I think.
They're a bit tighter, yeah. But no, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
McLaren have partnered with the Great Barrier Reef Foundation as attempts are made to protect one of the 7 natural wonders of the world.
In November 2023, we launched our Climate Contribution Programme. There are 3 projects that we're supporting, one of which is the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, and it's all about how we can accelerate the removal of carbon from the atmosphere and protect damaged ecosystems.
The opportunity to work for McLaren is a gift because we are in a race against time. We do not have centuries to solve this problem. We have a couple of decades. And so while we've got great solutions, we know that they need to be sped up so they can get in the water doing the great work. And McLaren, they're an organisation that goes fast. So they're a perfect partnership for the acceleration of reef restoration.
So how was it?
Oh, that was good fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's your connection to the reef and why is it so important?
I think for me it's important to Australia as a whole. I think for me, I've always kind of read about it and learned about it at school, but never really been able to connect with it that much in person. So I think it's a great opportunity this time around, and I think since McLaren is collaborating with the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, it's a great opportunity for us to go out and see it and see the work going on to try and protect it and restore it as well. So I think it's a very important part of world nature, not just Australia, but it's a bit more special when it's at home.
Is it important to you that the team you drive for have a wider picture, have a bigger outlook on life and want to commit to causes like this?
I think definitely it's a nice thing for us to be doing, of course, and I think as a sport in general we're trying to become more sustainable and tackle world issues, and I think McLaren's always been at the forefront of that as well. So it's a great initiative for sure, and I think for me it's special that it's in Australia as well. So very exciting to be a part of it, and I think it's a great thing to be a part of a culture and a team that looks to make the world a better place, not just the racetracks.
Is it easier to have a voice now in F1, do you think? Because it hasn't always been the case.
I think it definitely is, for sure. I think in recent years, I think the world has just been more receptive to tackling bigger issues and other issues in the world. I think also there's been some role models in Formula One before me, such as Lewis Hamilton, Seb Vettel, who are sort of paving the way a bit more. And I think as athletes in all sports, I think we've got more of a voice and more of a platform than we ever have. So definitely I think there's more opportunity to shed some light on some issues and show some of our passionate causes.
Is it important to you to leave a legacy beyond just the race results?
I think yes, it would be a nice thing to have. I think when you think of some of the greats, of course they have their on-track success, but they also often have a legacy off the track as well. You look at Lewis, everything that he does off the track, and you go back a few years and you look at someone like Sir Jackie as well. Whilst his sort of legacy was very much his success on the track and everything he did in motorsport, the safety that he brought to Formula One and motorsport as well, and I think just the automotive industry in general, is very much the legacy he's left behind alongside his success. So you look at those kind of people and it's pretty special, the legacy they've left off the track, and it would be a nice thing to have for sure.
Let's reflect on the Grand Prix at the weekend, the Australian Grand Prix. Something that struck me was the number of people out there supporting you, the number of Oscar Piastri merchandise, or the number of items that were bought, that were worn all around the track. Were you surprised?
I was a bit, yeah, to be honest. I thought, obviously having two Aussies on the grid. I thought it'd be a 50-50 split, but I was very happy to see all the Oscar Piastri fans and all the McLaren fans as well. So yeah, it was special. Definitely a few more Oscar Piastri 81 hats and shirts than 12 months ago. So that was very cool to see. And yeah, hopefully it just becomes even more and more.
Every time I went up to anyone in Papaya, I was waiting to see, and there were Oscar fans. And in the past, there's been a lot of Lando. Does that make you happy?
It does, yeah. There was still Lando fans there, so he's got a decent following. But yeah, it's been nice to have that support at home in the last week or two, and yeah, nice to see so many people getting behind me, which is cool. And yeah, I think we gave them a pretty good show on the weekend. So hopefully we can go a little bit better next year.
I got the impression from both of you after the race that you possibly didn't think that the team maximised it, not through any fault of their own, but just maybe there was a little bit more on the table at the weekend. Would that be fair?
Yes and no. I think from my side, I felt like I had a bit more left on the table. I think in general we were a bit surprised at how competitive we were, which was good. But I think there's always areas to improve on. And I think, yeah, with the strategy, maybe we could have done a couple of things a bit differently that maybe as a team would have helped our result. I'm not sure it would have helped my result, but yeah, maybe a few things. And I think we're always trying to capitalise on that. But all in all, I thought it was a pretty good performance from us.
I have to take my hat off to you not laughing at the state of my hair at the moment going across the way it is literally cutting across completely. So hats off to you. Thanks for not laughing.
That's okay.
I'm fighting it as much as I can. Look, we had team orders at the weekend again, and it's something that McLaren do. We saw it last year in Japan, Hungary, Italy, Qatar, when you benefited. How do you feel about team orders on the whole?
I mean, I think for me, in the position we're in at the moment, there's really not any point in jeopardising points for the team. I think when you're fighting for first and second and everyone else is a long way behind you, then it becomes a different story. But I think at the moment, you know, it's very, we all know the position that we're in, and we're very comfortable with those kind of orders. I think, you know, specifically on the weekend, you know, of course I would have loved to have stayed in third, but I think the strategies that we're on, Lando was simply quicker at that part of the race. So it made complete sense, and you know, I think there was an opportunity as a team for him to even get in front of Leclerc possibly. So it made complete sense, and like you said, I've benefited from that in the past. So I know it goes both ways, and yeah, until we're fighting for first and second, then I think it's a good way of ensuring we're getting the most for the team.
How did you get on with Lando? How did you get on as teammates?
Yeah, we get along well. I think we've always worked together well and tried to push the team forward. Our feedback's always been very similar from day one, and that's still the same case, which is encouraging, I think, for everyone at the factory and all the engineers. But yeah, we're getting to know each other more and more as well as we spend more time with each other. But yeah, we're getting along well.
Do you think you're quicker than he expected you to be?
I don't know. I don't know how quick he expected me to be. I feel like it's a good atmosphere there, though. I think we're always pushing each other, and I think for me, more now as I've got more experience, I feel like I'm able to push him more and more, which I think he appreciates, and I think we're both benefiting from it. So, you know, I've certainly learned a lot from him in my time in F1, and yeah, I'd like to hope that he's learned a few things from me too.
Do you rib him about the Qatar sprint win?
No, I don't.
Really?
I honestly don't remind him. I know I got stitched up in the lie detector test, but no, honestly, we don't talk about it.
Who's going to win a Grand Prix first?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I feel like we've both got a good chance this year. I feel like we've started the year well. I think the mood in the team is very confident, and you know, compared to where we were 12 months ago, I think we're in a great place. You know, there's no doubt we'd both love to get that first win first, but we will just have to wait and see.
So your career up into F1, you just went into every series and won it the first year you were in it. So how do you adapt your mentality to, I've got to be happy with points here, I've got to be happy with doing better than I expected this weekend, I've got to temper those expectations?
I think for me, honestly, it was not that difficult to get into that mindset. I think, you know, I also came into Formula One with a year on the sidelines, so I was just happy to be back in a race car, to be honest. And then I think the position we were in 12 months ago definitely was a bit of a reset on expectations for everybody. And I think everything from there on has been a positive. So it's been a nice thing to be able to fight for points consistently. The back end of last year, fighting for podiums quite often as well has been cool. And to be able to start in a very similar position this year has been nice. So we are getting a bit sick of finishing just off the podium or just on it, and we do want to be fighting for wins. But that's a fantastic position to be in.
What do you think are your weak points?
I think for me, just trying to improve my race pace still. I feel like I've made a good step forward from that, from last year. I feel like Bahrain was a good test of that. I think Melbourne, all things considered, was a pretty good step forward in that aspect too. So I think that's still the thing I'm trying to focus on, and just some consistency. I think for myself and as a team, I think we're trying to be a bit more consistent and be able to have a car that we can trust a little bit more, but also being able to drive in a way that's a little bit more friendly for the car as well. So I think that's probably the biggest thing still at the moment, but I feel like I am stronger in that aspect than last year. So I feel like we're on a good way.
Zach thinks he's got the strongest driver lineup on the grid. You certainly look like the closest driver lineup on the grid. I mean, there are hundredths of a second between you two sometimes in qualifying. So do you feel like you're the strongest, closest, best lineup?
I think yes. I mean, I think there's a lot of good drivers on the grid, obviously. I think Ferrari are making a very good point for their driver lineup at the moment. But yeah, I think we are definitely one of, if not the strongest. And I think we've been very close, certainly in qualifying for a while now. I think the races this year have been very close to each other as well. But yeah, I think if Zach says that we are, then I'm not going to disagree with it.
I know you've mentioned it, your contract extension kind of took you by surprise at how early they came to you with it. So why do you think that was? What reasons did they give, and how easy was it to just say, yes, sign me up?
I mean, firstly, very easy to say yes and sign me up. You know, I think with the way that they'd welcomed me into the team, given me an opportunity in Formula One, and the rate of progress we were having at that point and still having, made it very straightforward to say yes. The reasons for why they wanted to extend it so early, I don't know. I think I must have given them some confidence, which is nice. But yeah, obviously they believed in me and trusted in me, and I think you know, we're strong believers in you know, having confidence and security at the team, and I think, you know, now both of us are obviously there for a very long time, so which is nice for everybody's sort of mindset, trying to you know, build with both myself and Lando. But yeah, I guess I did a few things right, which meant they wanted to sign me up for a little while longer.
Japan last year was a good race for the team, and I mean, you would have to say with the characteristics of the car, it should be a good track for you this year as well, right? Is that
Yes,
fair?
I think so.
Will it be as good?
I hope so. Maybe not quite as good. I feel like Ferrari have made a good step forward, and I think a step forward in sort of medium and high speed corners, which is where I feel like us and Red Bull were very strong last year. I feel like Ferrari has very much joined that party, which I prefer they didn't, but we've got to beat them all, so we'll
I mean,
try.
they had the slow speed. Do they really need the fast and medium as well?
Exactly. They're very strong across the board, I
Yeah.
would say. So I feel like we've improved in other areas as well. I think definitely some things we still need to tackle, but I think we'll be just as strong, but I think Ferrari are definitely going to be in the mix. So yeah, I think honestly a pretty similar picture to Melbourne is what we could expect. Hopefully we're a little bit quicker, but we'll have to wait and see.
So last year, P2 in qualifying in Japan, P3 in the race, switched places with Lando. You going to turn that round this year?
I hope so. I mean, I hope qualifying stays the same. That was a good session, but definitely I think Japan last year, even if it was my first podium in Formula One, I think I left that weekend feeling like I had some clear areas to improve in the race. So I'm looking forward to going back there and trying to work on those, in all honesty. But yeah, if we can switch the positions around in the race, then I'm not going to complain at all.
Great stuff. We'll see you at the track. Thanks,
See you
Oscar.
there.
Thank you.
Thank you.